best team to pick up that prize money. But I think we are beginning with Game 3. Let us begin, ladies and gentlemen, as we begin Game 3 of StarSeries I-League. And we're going to look at the plane coming in from the south all the way down straight to the north. It seems like a straight pathway, and we see Tempo joining up early, probably going towards Fair Period, and all the maybe extend over to Primorsk even, but GOL, the Chinese team coming in, they're going to drop at the southwestern part of military base. So we're going to see those kind of be shared between the Novo and the military base, shared between 3 teams.
Yeah, we see here, you know, this nice neutral plane path going north to south to north allows all these teams to hit their comfort zones here. So we see, you know, the likes of Vitality and FaZe headed out towards the Milta area. Now, you know, with these first rotations and before we see the first circle, I'll be interested to see how the teams that have been struggling kind of react to the other drop zones. We've seen in Liquid's case, they've been having Yasnaya essentially to themselves. It looks like, speaking of which, it looks like it's going to be 4 a.m. landing very near to Tempo and C9. C9 already landing some shots or shooting out some shots there towards a parachute. But LG, that boat movement that we saw in one of the last games, I hope that the time management kind of tightens up for them as they have a lot of fans here hoping to see some good performances from them. And
coming from Brazil, the Luminosity Gaming, the second squad coming in from that organization in addition to the North American squad. Luminosity Gaming obviously has a lot of fans, even before they were picked up by the org. And, you know, coming from Brazil, these 4 players have to prove something here, and they're going to be looking around Roadhog to make their worth here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of the most passionate fans in the world in Brazil. So we have seen our first circle. It is a very far off-centered circle with a considerable amount of water in there. This is something similar to what we saw in, I believe, the first game. So I'm already seeing that Tempo is going to rotate towards what is their comfort zone. And, you know, they like to split out around these compounds. So we'll see what 4AM allows them to do here. Looks like they're close behind. And something very uncharacteristic of what we've seen before, Tempo makes an early rush into the middle of the circle here. Mind you, it is only the first circle, so the variance is still there, whether it can change from north and the south onto the extreme angles. But Tempo Storm having come in very late in the circles, and you talked about in the analyst desk, and we're coming in from even the second circle outside the blue zone, they do make their early entrance to see, you know, this different play style, how that changed their results. Absolutely, and you know what? I think the biggest benefit right here is for Avangar, who make their home in Georgia Pole. So they're going to be in this first zone. They're going to have lots of time and space to loot around. No real pressure on them right now. They have that entire area to themselves. So Drain is opting for the residential buildings. And we can see here, it looks like Dre is going to chase away 4AM from his preferred looting zone. And coming back to Avangar here, they are currently just full control of George right now, and they do have the vehicles to support themselves as well.
And you mentioned earlier God V coming in from 4AM. Being sent as a scout from the rest of the team, who are mostly down at the south part of the circle at the moment. But like I said, Tempo Storm currently in the center. Gonna be looking for some defensive formations when it comes to trying to peek out any sounds coming from the vehicles that are approaching the. But you see the rest of Tempo Storm at the moment, with Valiant being the only one separated from his team. Maluk is joining them. The other 2 who are already established themselves in Gatka. So Valiant coming in, I think he's gonna look for a little bit more and trying to find some information before he does leave.
Yeah, you know what? This is fairly typical of Tempo. This is the classic Tempo strat, the split around Gatka. Valiate is often the one split out by himself. You can see here down on the military island. So he's going to find himself a vehicle and try to rejoin his team. Now, with these far circles, it makes it very difficult for your Vitality and your FaZe to be able to rotate without too much pressure. Now, we will typically see FaZe head north and come in on the top end of the circle, as we see here Entisay taking some shots at Ghost as they transition past. But for the team like Ghost, who's down in Novo, this is going to be a long trek back to the play zone.
And Ghost, talking about Novo, is their kind of the home ground. They have established themselves through games 1 and 2, and now suddenly it seems like no challenge is going to be coming forth through them. But still have a lot of route, a lot of ground to cover when it comes to their moving their vehicles. Austin is making their early entrance. I'm trying to pick out that once again the scout role, trying to pick up some information for the rest of his teammates here.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of scouting actions here, and I think that some success rate, or at least what dictates success, is the ability to retain all 4 players through the mid game. And scouting is such a dangerous action, as we see here. Austin on one of the most dangerous vehicles in the game, the 3-seater bike. So,
you mentioned it right away.
I cursed him, but at the same time, you know, those scouts, when taken down, as we see actually Samty take a tumble somewhere else, but you know, maintaining those scouts is so important, and you know, teams who lose those scouts have a much lower success rate through the mid game and end game, as it's so important to keep 4 alive. And that scouting phase is very difficult.
And you see the first kill coming in from Liquid Scoom, getting the kill onto the Thai squad from Myth. Minora going down, with Scoom being only alone in this kind of southwestern part of the Yasnaya kind of extension of it, but he does get a quick kill, and there's no time for reaction coming from the mid squad. But as you say, the scouting report really has been about something that really hasn't worked out too much for a lot of these teams, especially when you split 3-1 has been the most risky situation when you just don't have any reactionary tools when you get caught out.
Yeah, and you can see here, Austin, the scout for Ghost, caught out by C9, and that's a terrific example of what I was just mentioning, is that now Ghost is 3 down, or is 1 down with only 3 players remaining. Atletico opting to transition as 4 here. Zampa nearby, just looting in Gatka itself, giving that information back to his team, but Ghost now at a disadvantage very early in this game.
Now, I feel Tempo Storm is feeling a lot more comfortable than they did in games 1 and 2 when they got the central position in round 1. In the first circle even, you know, the circle hasn't closed quite yet, but we're looking at Tempo Storm really trying to put the defensive pressure onto the other teams, trying to make the late entrance.
Yeah, and that this is basically as early as you could potentially rotate right now with those lower AR spawns and some of these teams might be used to. They're not giving that they're not getting that loot that they would normally get. So having to make that choice between looting time and rotating into the circle early, and really in the conservative playstyle in the early game we've been seeing so far, the centering is clearly taking priority.
And really, he's talked about the second circle being a variety issue. You know, we're going to see how that shapes into form a little bit later. But see Ghost coming in here. They lost 1 member already with Austin trying to be that scout. Didn't work out in that cause. Now, they're trying to move together here with Ghost right now, having all 3 members trying to make the late circle entrance.
Well, he knows where C9 is at the very least. So they
figured out
where C9 was. So as the rest of Ghost kind of joins up here, Afflux, the standing in for one of their former players.
Right.
So the manager actually holding his own here so far as Ghost, maintaining a decent spot on the leaderboard through the first couple of games here.
And really, the team manager turned pro. What a dream to be, Moses. And coming in, and Afflux, like you're saying, you know, playing that one-person role is not gonna be a kind of a defector when it comes to how Ghost performs as a whole. It has been Afflux doing very, very well to hold his own and really just contribute into a successful team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually see here C9 now forming up around Tempo. This little compound is a fairly nice hold here. So Tempo is going to try and probably group up here fairly quickly, but they are going to split up between these 2 buildings. It's very difficult for teams to break in when they have good defense here. So you can see C9 maybe just scouting, jumping around, Frex jumping around the top of your screen there, trying to get as much information as possible. PUBG is a information game, so right now it's just C9 holding a high viewpoint and trying to see if they can catch any other rotators coming in off guard.
And information-dependent game modes indeed, as we see. 3 members of Cloud9 currently on top of that hill trying to get some information, especially down on that compound where you see Tempo Storm making their positions held. But Frolicer, you see, going to be seeing on the minimap, if we get a time soon, he's going to be on the outside of the circle at the moment. You see right here. He's going to be down in Fairy Pier on his own trying to get additional information, but pity for him. A lot of the other opponents are going to be around the kind of the eastern side, making their quick entrance to the west. But Frolicer trying to be that extensive vision and intelligence plus come from C9.
Yeah, absolutely. Frolicer, a high-level player, one of the best fraggers in the game, holding a high position on the leaderboards all the way through this last season. We are now actually seeing the rest of the team start to rotate into the circle, TSM opting for that northern path that we would often see from FaZe. FaZe, Vega, and Vitality all in the same area right now. FaZe is actually right next to Vega. So Jempty in the lead vehicle, Fuzzface a little bit behind, but Vega very close. Now we will see from time to time that players will not hesitate to slam on the brakes and take a fight if they think they can pick off one of those vehicles. So we might see some aggression here coming out of Vega.
Now see what we're looking at here. Vega Squadron coming from the CIS region, which is the home ground of what we are doing here at StarLadder. Moses, I want to really ask you about Vega Squadron as a team where, Avangard kind of made their early entrance into the professional realms, kind of making their presence known in the international team realm. But coming in, Vega Squadron looking to be that second team, trying to make that same amount of dynamics they have put on fighting Avangard first.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? With Avangard's recent success, I think they are definitely the golden boys of this current tournament. But really, Vega ultimately has been somewhat middling in their tournament performance so far. But given the diverse playing environment that we have here with all these different teams from all over the world, it really is an opportunity for them to assert themselves as an individual team and on the world stage, no less. But really, it's going to take a lot to displace some of these top-end teams. So they do have the experience with them, dealing with them from time to time in tournament play. So they should have some familiarity.
And there you see my home team coming in, Entus Ace, trying to make their situations count. They're going to be down in Gatka still. Seems like they're going to be trying to hold their position. We're going to be hearing some fires coming back and forth. We're going to see any Vega might go down from Athletico here.
Yeah, Athletico holding this nice high ground position, shooting down onto the transitioning vehicles. Really, it's important to try and form and get focused fire there if you want to take out one of those vehicles. And really, when you have 4 guns pointed at one vehicle, they can go up in flames very, very quickly. Yeah. So Vega actually managing to skate that one, but they are not out of the woods yet because they are literally in the woods, and C9 is there with them.
And sandwiched from both sides, Athletico on the left and C9 on the right as Vega Squadron trying to make their continued entrance into this next circle here. They do hold their positions for now. Seems like they're going to be trapped by GOL here, though.
Yeah, GOL actually coming up right on top of them.
And Enol?
And yeah, Enol is just kind of chilling there and actually surprises Tavello.
But that is
not
information.
Where he's there.
That is going to be information that Vega has given away. Now the rest of GOL, can they react to this and see if they can kill onto the few members of Vega?
Yeah, it looks like they're going to try and rotate and support here, having one member down. They're going to go for the res here while Chaoju is just basically trying to cover, but Vega not letting up.
Now it seems to be a more even conflict between Vega and GOL at the moment. We saw the information given by the Vega men when it comes to picking out the member initially, but now it's going to be about 2 members of Vega currently alive at the moment. We're going to see how GOL reacts to this.
Yeah, just holding this wide peak, just making sure that he's covering his teammates who are, still in the process of trying to determine where the rest of GOL is. But Vitality now arriving on the scene as well, so Vega is not getting any time and space.
And Vega Squadron really an unfortunate situation where they are surrounded by so many people. You kind of expected that being so close to the center of the circle at the moment. So, I mean, knowing this fact, Moses, what are you supposed to do when you have 2 members strong? You do have to beat out the other team that is right in front of you, but you're always aware of the fact that so many teams can control you when it comes to the other high positions that are available.
Well, you know what? When it comes to these early game engagements, you do have to recognize when it's time just to pull back. And now Vega's taking a couple of casualties here. They are now together, and looks like they are going to try and pull away from GOL, who has managed to stay, I believe, 4 strong. I saw 1 man down still. Not sure if they were able to maintain all there. I think Tavello did go down permanently, but TSM now arriving at their first compound.
Now TSM looking towards their face against LG. Wonder if they hear the sounds within that distance, but right now TSM holding their steps for now, and it seems like 2 members from Luminosity are alive at the moment. I'm gonna have to check the minimap to see if any other members are available, but 4-man strong is TSM. They're looking towards ground. I think they peaked a little bit when it comes to seeing that vision provided by Axe here.
Yeah, it looks like LG might have rotated fairly early here. I'm seeing shotguns and micro Uzis in their loadout, so I'm not sure if that's just what they're holding for a potential building push. Typical what we would see from third-person players or people who play in third-person primarily. Maybe they're holding on to the micro Uzi, but we come back to Athletico, who seems to be in a bit of trouble.
It seems like Athletico and C9 had the similar mission of taking out Vega on their way path, but now they met each other, their enemies, and see Tempest Storm also in the mix as well, and C9 kind of had the best positions on the top of the hill. It's not going to be the first one to be targeted.
Yeah, so having that low ground position, having your vehicles go up, you now have to kind of determine what kind of utility do I have, can I get out of here? But in those Gatka fields, there are very few options for maneuverability. So Athletico in a really big bind here. They have Profi holding them from the north, and they also have Ifty there with Tempo nearby. C9 under pressure themselves, but still present.
And right now we see Ghost, McCoy, and one another teammate trying to move their face in. It seems like FaZe has the sights of him. Here's the card from far away. And see that action soon enough, but Fuzzface, you see, driving his force away from Tempo at the moment. But IFTY, you see them on the screen for the very first time in Game 3 here. One of the other Chinese teams who have not done well with China region as a whole, who hasn't impressed so far.
Yeah, it's been difficult, I think, and it is difficult for those to come into an environment as we come back here to C9, just putting the brakes to poor Atletico, as well as Ghost actually going down as well. McCoy getting finished off there, so it's been a tough go for both Ghost and Atletico here.
Really has, and C9 finding their high ground. Seemed like they were going to get the initial advantage over everyone else around the area, but that wasn't really the case. With we saw a very dangerous situation that could have happened to C9 in that encounter.
So there's that utility I was mentioning. It looks like Atletico is going to try and get a res and a med off here. Try and pull away as best they can, but ultimately without any vehicles, the buggy being highly damaged, there's nothing they can really do. So Atletico in a really rough spot right now with C9 still holding on to 4 strong and on the high ground. So I'll be excited to see here how they manage this as the next transition is about to change here. So ultimately, this looks like a fairly decent position for Entis. Fairly quiet so far, but TSM also holding on to LG as they start poking at each other here.
I see LG and TSM back at it again with the encounter. We saw LG 9x that's going to be away from this current area as the seam, so he might have to join in very, very soon because TSM looking like they're going to go aggressive here.
Yeah, and again, you hear that shotgun ring out. That is a decent close quarters weapon, but with this many bodies on top of them, they do have to worry about covering each other. And right now, LG just does not have the support nearby. TSM 3 strong on top of them here. They might have lost a scout here previously, but right now they're trying to press into this building as the pressure's starting to mount from other teams in the area.
You see Smack joining in now into the fight, trying to roll into this building here. Don't know exactly how many members of LG are available. Takes Ferdinand out with X going down. AMPR gets the first kill here.
So right now it's about just managing this building here, and the grenade comes out, taking down Vis and PR. That's tough.
It really is, and like I said, they see the members of coming forth back in between these compounds, but TSM, they have little knowledge of how many members of LG are still in here. That's kind of the point that really kind of prevents them of going so aggressive in this encounter.
Yeah, and right now Smack is holding an angle here, trying to protect the res. As that Micro Uzi doing lots of damage. That's very difficult for him to deal with.
But the headshot coming in.
That was an insta-kill too. It looks like
it really was. And you talked about the Micro Uzi being that benefactor here. We thought it was going to be the one to kill out. And he kind of felt it coming. He felt like he put in a lot of damage initially. So came back for the second try. Tried to get that on, but a clean headshot coming from Break to finish it off immediately.
Yeah, TSM managing to stay 4 strong here. And LG eliminated very early again. You have to wonder, LG, if they're having issues adjusting to this style of play, having poor loot. I see only a level 1 vest and the Micro Uzi there on BB, so that's tough to have that kind of loot this late in the game, and TSM takes a team wipe and also a very nice position in the current play zone.
So bottom 3 exit for the Brazilian squad with Luminosity Gaming going down in 14th place, but we're going to see back at the action between Tempo and C9. Atletico still seems like hasn't gone down, so the truce being called for at the moment.
Yeah, it's just a bit of a poking battle. And you'll see this kind of war of attrition as teams kind of settle into their comfort zones in whatever building or cover they might have. And really, it's really a matter of protecting your helmets and your vests, as you see here, Frolicker only with level 1 gear, got that level 3 backpack, but just trying to put as much pressure on IFTY as possible just to try and see if they can get that down, and then try and find that seam in the defense to take these buildings away from them.
Now you see C9, Frolicker here trying to get some spray onto that's a Scar here, but what's more important, Moses, is that, as the circle closes down more and more and the time does go on, it won't be a 3-way party between Atletico, C9, and Tempo. More teams are going to join in the fray and trying to get involved in the action, which makes these current positions not really valid anymore once the time goes on.
Yeah, and I mean, having to press out of these buildings, we saw Tempo just try to do that with Dre going out in a vehicle. I believe Valier went down as well. Tempo having to use that vehicle to get into the next play zone, or at least out of their current situation, finds themselves blown up and eliminated here. So another tough break for Tempo.
And suddenly we saw C9 on the high position doing numbers onto Atletico, but they came down, which gave them Atletico should be a good chance to fight back. But in the end, another member from Hefia coming from Atletico going down with Unkri here. Gonna be the last man standing for Atletico.
Yeah, he's trying his best just to stay still here as C9 sweeping the area, knowing that there's probably one more alive. And when you get that down, you have to know that there is someone else remaining. So For now, Atletico in full defensive mode here in the zone, but still not out of danger.
And exactly knows where everybody is with C9, also knowing the same about his opponents. And Unkri, the only one left alive, but C9, although they're looking towards different directions just in case other teams come by, they do know exactly where the last member of Atletico is.
So we'll see here if the circle transitions, right on top of that mountain. So staying relatively centered, but now eliminating a lot of potential cover, as going up that mountain is not going to provide you a lot of options. So right now, this is Entis' game, having the best cover in the zone. TSM doing all right as well, but Liquid not doing too shabby either. But right now, it's going to be a very difficult transition for these remaining teams in the fields of Gatka and just south of Georgia Pole as well.
And most teams, they have to play the hills here, where you see the next circle being the only compound kind of occupied by Entis Ace at the moment. So otherwise, the other teams kind of have to find some fields they have to smack upon. But coming with this from TSM, having won that encounter against Luminosity earlier in this phrase, but they're going to try to find a better position for now. They put themselves right on the edge of the circle for the next time being. They like playing on the edges, Moses, and coming in for the next circle, they're going to see what they can do.
It looks like here, Ifty trying to transition into cover, but not able to make it without taking a casualty and actually having to retreat. They're going to lose that utility that they've deployed. Now they're having to come back out of the zone. So right now, it's going to be a very difficult transition for these guys as the time ticks away. Like you mentioned with TSM, they have that natural cover as well. But C9 playing gatekeepers right now just to be able to maintain this position at the edge of the zone. Looks like they're going to be able to pick up some kills here on Ifty if they don't have any utility left.
And this makes it more annoying to the fact that they're still outside the circle at this moment. You're talking about Cloud9 doing the gatekeeping off of IFTY, one of the other Chinese teams in this tournament. I'm trying to make their entrance, but it becomes so difficult to do so when you have C9 right there. They're going to be driving fourth now, so the gatekeeping is off track. So IFTY, I wonder if they can figure out that knowledge with the car sound they do here nearby, seeing that gatekeeping is no more.
Yeah, it looks like FaZe is going to be doing something similar. They might have heard those gunshots off to their left, and as we see Tempo rotating away from the action right towards TSM, Zampa having to break a little bit right as Break takes some shots at him. So now it's going to be IFTY trying to evade FaZe.
Oh, look at this. Shiv is going to have clear angle onto Profi here. Seems like a very easy shot, and there you go, the last member of Ghost going down. And Shiv's going to take some casualties as well. It might seem like he's taking some damage, but he does get to the corpse just in time.
Yeah, it looks like Liquid is applying pressure from across the field, and poor IFTY taking shots from everyone in the current play zone. And it looks like they are not going to be able to make this transition. They are now in an open field with very little cover, the circle pressing them at their back. So if it's not FaZe doing the damage, it's going to be Liquid or even Vitality. Vitality also having a tough rotation here.
It really has to make the entrance into this next circle here. Roxy and Shiv trying to make their efforts count, but they did hear the shots coming in from Liquid from that distance. So it's going to be difficult for them to make the entrance as easy as they can, but talking about the very few compounds that are available in this next circle. OG and Entis Ace holding one of those few compounds, and Liquid being the other team holding those two compounds in the middle here.
You know, looking at the way they're split out here, Liquid having a very strong hold here, not able to get anywhere near them or any other teams. So they have a lot of space around them. They have two excellent buildings to hold, and they have great vision. They all have nice weapons. FaZe now transitioning on foot near Entis, so we'll see if they... these two teams will be clashing here very shortly.
And really see Entis Ace naturally a defensive team who have found more success in Korea. For the games I casted over them, they are a true defensive team, and holding compounds will be to their benefit. But you see Vitality, Shift going as a Oroxy. It's going to be still outside the circle.
He's having to med here, which is a very tough break because this next transition is going to mean that his meds are going to be, or his health is going to be taken down very, very quickly. And now this is Liquid and Entis' game having that nice cover. That mountain providing very little options. People are going to have to transition up that mountain, and that's going to mean more choke points, as TSM is now going to have to make the choice between attacking Entis in their building and taking fire from FaZe on the way, or just trying to ease in on the bottom edge of that mountain.
Now you still see from the minimap here, the circle is holding those two compounds that Liquid and Entis Ace were occupying earlier, but coming into this very choke points that you talk about, they are looking more towards the south and paying less attention to the north. So Avantgarde coming in from the western side, can they make a safe entrance? It seems like initially they can, but 4 AM coming in on the hills, they're going to be firing back at them, but Avantgarde, can they fire back here? We're going to find out.
So it looks like 4 AM has positioned themselves to attack, but they don't have circle position. Avantgarde having moved in front of them. Actually taking a couple casualties here. 4AM has an opportunity to press here. They need to put the pressure on them right now before Avangar can kind of regroup and get some reses off. But Avangar holding line of sight on the bottom line of that hill could make things difficult for them.
Now Drainey's, instead of going for the res, which will be difficult to do, he's trying to fire back at Captain from 4AM, but at the moment, Drainey's having a hard time, gets one knock for the time being. God V and the rest of 4AM are still strong in numbers. And that's going to be Drainey's just left alone by himself. And Avangar
man,
exploded with the car explosion coming in from 4V. So the Chinese squad doing very well of not losing any member. I think they will get the res onto Captain. But on that high hill when no other opponents are available within the very much the close radius of where they currently stand, that gives them a good position to move on forward in the rest of this game.
Absolutely. Now it's only up to Zampa to try to rotate towards him here and come up that mountain. But 4AM doing work here, eliminating Avangar. That was a huge pickup for them. Liquid now also looking to hold their main position, as now it's going to be FaZe and TSM going head to head.
How many times have we seen this? TSM versus FaZe is going to be trying to prove a point here, but Nox coming both sides here, break and smack. The two members of TSM currently available with FaZe. FaZe did go down earlier in a Nox, so wonder if he can get. Oh, Hexetti actually went down in a Nox, so wonder if he can get the res here.
Yeah, the nades coming in now, the support going out. It's up to TSM to try and rotate above FaZe here. FaZe having that circle position. Mixie having to try and essentially cover Fuzzface, who's by himself right now.
Yeah.
Mixie looking up towards where he imagines they're going to come into the zones. We'll see here if FaZe can manage this 2v2 here, as Entis nearby as well. FTY getting late into the zone, but Smack and Break not getting any break here from Mixie. Shooting at with the M4 with the ACOG on there.
Mixie, you see it from the FaZe, trying to look towards both angles. They have to look at TSM, but at the same time, behind them is the complex where OG and Entasace, with 3 members, already exited the current building, getting ready for the next circle here. But I mean, LG and Entasace, they heard the fight going on between TSM and FaZe, so they know what is up. So FaZe, they have to be conscious of the fact that TSM isn't right front. They have to beat them out before they move forward. But Liquid seem to be in a little bit of trouble here.
Yeah, it looks like Entis is now moving up towards them. They are going to... and now 4AM actually getting involved as well with this Liquid and Liquid engagement. So Liquid all of a sudden having to come out of their buildings and now immediately receiving pressure. This nice position for Liquid, all ultimately going up in smoke. Samty having to protect his team from the high ground. Scoom also up.
Gabi trying to make the rotation here, trying to make the flank, but doesn't work. Gets spotted out by Scoom initially, so doesn't get the initial plan of what he was trying to do here with 4AM. They still have one more member available, Luca, with Gabi healing back up. They might not go for the res initially, so sees how Samty and Scoom pull this off against 4AM.
Samty unleashing, downing the team from 4AM there. So 4AM actually got V, the last man standing. Samty coming back to protect the res. I believe Scoom was going for the res on his teammates there.
I think Gavi is trying to go for the kills here. I noticed the knocks have been coming through, and there aren't many members of Liquid available. Samty does heal back up for the time being. We're going to go up into Entis Ace and FaZe here. Entis Ace showing that they have numbers against FaZe and really just cleans out the European side.
Entis coming out of that building, listening to those shots, actually pressing FaZe and TSM at the same time and securing themselves a great position here as we see 4AM go down. So Liquid, if they're careful, might stay 4 up here as well, having all reses come out. So that is a huge, huge play from Scoom and Samty there to make sure that their team stays strong. So Zampa holding on to the northern edge, but right now this is looking like it's going to be Entis versus Liquid here in the endgame.
Regardless of how many knocks came through from 4AM onto the Liquid members, they are still 4 members strong. So along with Entis Ace, who have been the other 4 members, along with Tempestorm, Zampa being the sole member of his team, making a 9th member here. So we're going to get to a 3-team way action as we see Zampa trying to make the lonely entrance already into the circle. But it's going to be important about Entis Ace and Liquid. What do the fights occur here and what does it result to?
Essentially what Zampa wants to do is be as quiet as possible and allow these 2 4-strong teams to go head-to-head. So Entis having the high ground, an advantage from vision, but they're going to have to silhouette themselves here to get into the new play zone. So Liquid is going to have vision on them very, very soon.
Now you see a BZ trying to be the front man, trying to get the early vision, trying to peek out those edges with the FPP vision. Now you're coming from me, from TPP. It's very interesting to see how these teams take the action here, but Liquid trying to get some early knowledge of where Entis Ace is. It's difficult to tell whether they have 4-man strong on the other side, but they have to consider all angles when approaching this one.
Well, they're going to have to get a head count here very quickly as Scoom taking a little bit of damage here. Knowing where the other team is, this next transition is going to dictate the pace of this engagement. We see here the change about to come in, so this is going to either favor Liquid or Entis, and it is going to favor Liquid, so Entis now having to come downhill toward them.
Scoom in a very dangerous situation as we see some people getting a clear angle onto him. So, gotta get a few more shots of this. Ghillie Shoot does not help you from the angle, Scoom. And it's gonna be an Entis Ace trying to use that high ground advantage where Liquid does not have. So, not the most fairest vision advantage equality when it comes to this, but Circle going towards Liquid right now.
Yeah, the utility coming out for Liquid, making sure that they have the ability to maneuver around. We do see the first knock coming out, so Abisa is going to take down Christus there. So Entis taking the first casualty, and again, this is going to be all about Zampa. Maybe playing potential spoiler here, able to shoot someone in the back, but he's playing quiet right now.
Nice. So Abisa, kind of the machine gun of this Liquid squad, trying to be the front man, trying to get some extra vision, and he did see Christus on the side trying to make the wide flank. So 4v3 against Entis Ace and Liquid, and still Zampa is alive. So 3 teams left remaining. If Entis does go down first, Zampa can get a free second place.
Entis, you can already see the body language. They're concerned the fact that there are still 3 teams remaining. They're unaware of how many teams are alive as well, or sorry, players are alive as well. So looking at that vision, looking for that flank, Entis having to play defensively already. They're trying to spot out Zampa. It looks like he has been spotted by Temeria, so Temeria trying to eliminate that third player. That third team, I should say. So now it's going to be a transition game as Liquid now pressing towards Entis, and this is going to be the final showdown here, I believe.
Zampa trying to get that very nice second place is what he was hoping for, as the Lucky Charms does have it. But Zampa, he does have to make the entrance with the circle closing at the moment. You see the timer having gone up, so Zampa can't hide behind that box forever.
They're spending way too much time looking at Zampa. They are not paying attention to Liquid, who's pressed all the way up on them. They have them in the zone now as well, trying to get Zampa out of here. They're more concerned with what appears securing second place for themselves, as Liquid is now trying to spread out all around the zone, taking away all routes, and now Entis is fighting a two-way battle here as Zampa goes down.
Now it's 4v3. They know it is secure, and sometimes actually goes down on a grenade here coming from James, but 4v2 at the situation, it doesn't seem like it's gonna happen to Entis Ace at the moment. Ooh. Some people does go down on very low health.
So now it's about defense here for Entis. They've spent too much time looking the wrong direction, and Liquid is now pressing the attack, going full aggression here. Samty taking down some people.
Samty is going to be looking for the last member. Temeria, it shouldn't be a hard task to pull off with the Liquid. Going for the last win here, and they do get the win in Game 3. So having their struggles in Games 1 and 2, they wanted to be in the top position, Moses. They did, and wanted to come in straight from Game 1. Didn't happen, but coming into Game 3, picking up the chicken dinner does puff the morale.
Yeah, absolutely. The positioning aided them all the way through that game. It was a little bit of a close call there with 4 AM, but they are ultimately able to get those reses off, stay 4 strong, and use that advantage all the way through the end game, cruising to a win as Entis getting a little distracted there at the end of that game.
And you're talking about the last member coming for that third place. Obviously, they didn't want to give out a free third place instead of knocking off just one member to get the second place instead. But you have to look for the chicken dinner. Obviously, OG and Entis coming from TPP environment back in Korea. They're coming to this FPP environment with all these new teams they are not so familiar with. Coming into this, they want to make a statement for themselves, and they should have went for the first place. But as you said, they were so focused on the one sole man on the outside, and see how that forced them.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see, like, when you all look one direction, you lose that advantage. Like,